So at the time of recording this, we are amidst severe social distancing restrictions due to the COVID-19 or coronavirus outbreak. And there are lots of pressures on everyone, and maybe our weight isn't something that's at our forefront of our minds. But today I'm going to talk through 5 reasons why you may start to gain weight as a result of the restrictions we have on our movement during these times. And you may be saying to yourself, Lisa, I've just got bigger things on my plate right now. I'm worried about money, about work, about all these things, and that is really, really true. But it's also a time when we do really need to focus on our health, perhaps more than ever. And if nothing else, maybe what we will learn from this whole situation is how important our health, including our thoughts about our health, actually are. And I'm hoping that in sharing these 5 things with you, that you will be able to consciously be aware of perhaps certain behaviours that you start to do in the changing situation and take action so that you can stay on top of feeling good for as long as possible. So the first one may be quite obvious, or it may be not, and it's simply that as our movement is being restricted, rightly so, we will be moving less generally throughout our day. If you are not travelling to work, you will have, even if you drove to work, you will have got out of the car to walk into the office. Maybe you walk up and down some stairs, maybe you walk out at lunchtime. And if you're not travelling to work, then the amount of movement that you do within the day may reduce as a result. And so what I would encourage you to do whilst this goes on, or at any other times where your movement is restricted for some reason, is to move as much as you possibly can. So this is what we refer to as NEAT. It stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis. Much easier to say NEAT. And it's the amount of movement that we do that's not related to exercise. So your general movement throughout the day, from getting out of bed in the morning, going up and down the stairs, walking to the toilet, all those different things, even fidgeting, comes under the line of NEAT. And particularly in times of duress, our movement can actually reduce down a lot. You may be the other way. Maybe if you're feeling really worried, you may find yourself being really twitchy and fidgety and not able to sit still, in which case you may be naturally increasing your NEAT a little bit as well. But think of ways that you can move more within every day. Now, this becomes particularly important for women who are in that transitional period on their way towards menopause and through the other side of it as well. So most commonly women in their 40s, 50s and beyond, because our body naturally starts to sort of move less, and even when we exercise we move less intensely during that exercise. So consciously thinking about moving more, and even, dare I say, making more effort when we're moving to use energy more, can really help in keeping our energy balance at least level, so that we're not gaining weight, or if we're looking to lose weight, to tip that scale in the right direction. So to help with this, I've developed my Desk Break Movement Bites, which is a series of 5 short videos that are all less than 10 minutes, but you can sort of push yourself away from your desk and do them right there in front of your desk or in your living room, wherever you are. You don't need any equipment. They're just designed to get you on your feet, to get you a little bit out of breath, to boost that circulation a little bit, but just to get you moving. We know that actually when it comes to concentration span, as humans, our concentration span is phenomenally short, and actually at best it may only be about 14 minutes. And if you are really looking to increase your productivity or your concentration span, then one of the things that can really help with that is movement and exercise. So finding ways to get up on your feet regularly will not only help you from a weight management point of view, but may actually help you to concentrate and stay focused better as well. Now, the other side of that energy balance, so when I'm talking about energy balance, for us to maintain weight, the amount of energy that we take in through food and drink needs to be balanced or be the same as the amount of energy we use in our day through movement. And as I've just mentioned, that may include exercise, it may just be the general movement throughout the day. So I've just talked about moving more. So particularly if our circumstances change so that we're moving less, it's important that we recognise that and take steps. See what I did there? Take steps to keep moving as much as we possibly can. The other aspect is to manage our portion sizes. So if for any reason you are having to move less in your day, then reduce your portion sizes accordingly. So whilst you are using less energy because you're moving less, you're also then going to take in less energy through the form of food and drink to keep that seesaw or scale balanced rather than tipping in the favour of gaining weight. Now, the thing is, when it comes to being at home more than perhaps you're used to, it's a change in environment. And this is the second thing I want to talk about. Now, this is something that I've kind of encountered myself. So just over a year ago, I transitioned all of my work to home and developed a boutique studio here. So whereas I was used to having a pack-up lunch that I took to work every day, and that was what I had available to eat along with any snacks that I packed. But I couldn't then go off and pick up something extra to eat. I had what I took and that was it. And what I noticed when I was working from home all of the time is I could hear the biscuit barrel calling from wherever I was in the house. And so I just, without necessarily realising very quickly, excuse me, I was actually eating more biscuits, a lot more biscuits, as I found out when the bottom of the biscuit barrel became visible very quickly. And so I just took steps there and moved the biscuit barrel to a different part of the kitchen. Now, although I knew where I'd moved it to, it was a conscious decision then, rather than I've made a cup of tea, I'll get a biscuit. I was making myself think about what I was doing. And it may well be that because you've got access to your own kitchen at home, that you're naturally going and seeking out nibbles more than you would if you weren't in that environment. So do simple things like not having food visible on your work surfaces. Any food that is visible there, try and prioritise things like fruits and vegetables so you're making different choices. It's one of those things, if the eye can't see it, the mind doesn't want it as much. But if it's on show, then that becomes something that we really want. So be aware of what's visible in your kitchen and in different places of your house and of what you have access to. And one tip that I share with my clients, particularly in nutritional coaching side of things, is one very simple question you can ask yourself every time you reach for food or any particular calorific drink, and that is, am I hungry? Now, sometimes the answer will be yes, in which case, great. Eat enough to satisfy that hunger. But if you're not hungry, then think about actually what else could I do? Now, this leads into the next point that I want to talk about that may be a big factor for you right now during this COVID-19 situation, and that is emotional eating. There are all sorts of emotions that we're experiencing at the moment. A feeling of anxiousness, of concern, of vulnerability perhaps, of overall worry and being perhaps downright scared. And that can drive our eating behaviours. Now again, for some people it may kill their appetite altogether so that they're just not hungry. For other people, they may be seeking solace in food and drink. So remember, alcoholic drinks do contain calories as well, unfortunately. So if you're sinking a bottle of wine every evening to cope with what you're feeling at this time, or any other time in your life that's a cause of concern or duress, then that will naturally start to help you to gain weight. Now, this is something, again, that I come across quite commonly when working with ladies in that perimenopause or post-menopause period. They think, I'm eating really healthily, I'm doing all the things I can, why is the weight going on? And a lot of the time it comes to those things they're drinking, from the bottles of wine through to the lattes with syrups added and the like. Those things that give them almost the feeling of a hug or a release, that are actually giving them more energy than their body is using at the current time. So with regards to emotional eating, this is something I have a whole module on in my online nutrition coaching course, because it is multifaceted, and I do touch on this really. It's an in-depth area, and so if this is something that's perhaps been a factor for you throughout your whole life, it may be that you need more detailed support in this area. But within my online nutrition course, I go through how to identify whether you are an emotional eater. And let's be honest, we all are emotional eaters to some degree or another. We may go out for a meal to celebrate when something fantastic happens, or reach for that chocolate bar when we've had a bad day. But the thing is, if that's happening regularly and actually we're hinging all of our emotions onto choosing something to eat and drink, either to suppress those emotions or to cope with them, then that is the time to really think about what's going on for you and seek support if you need it. And within my online nutrition course as well, I talk through different strategies for helping you to not only identify where this is a factor for you, but to use very simple strategies to help you to move away from those emotional choices around food. Now, I mentioned the "am I hungry" question, and that can be a great start. So sometimes you'll say, "am I hungry?" when perhaps you are just reaching for a chocolate bar or a glass of wine, something like that. And the answer may come back, "no, but I really want that." So your follow-up question may actually be, what am I feeling right now? And just to acknowledge the feelings that are behind that choice. So often when I work with somebody, they've done this for years and years. They've forgotten how it feels to experience the emotions that are behind that choice. Now that is a big step, and it can make you feel very, very vulnerable. So it's really important that you're supported with that if that's something that's relevant for you. But just be aware, particularly in this time of big change, that if you are making choices based on your concern, your anxiety, your worry, trying to suppress those feelings, then perhaps it's a good time to think about what you can do instead. And even just that simple sentence sums it up. A lot of the time we feel like things have been taken away from us. Our focus naturally goes onto what we can no longer do. Flip that around. What can you do right now? And actually there's quite a lot you still can do. You can focus on your health, and you may have additional time that you didn't otherwise have, and that may help you to finish projects in the house, to actually identify ways that you can support your health, to ask people for help as well. So look at what you can do to help you to identify the positives in a seemingly negative situation. So far we've looked at moving less generally within your day, the impact of being in a different environment, and emotional eating. Now the next point I'm going to talk about, you may not really see the relevance of it when it comes to eating, drinking and managing your weight, but it has a major effect, and that is your sleep. So science and research has shown us that somebody who is sleep deprived, even over a short period of time, has different hunger and satiety cues. So what that means is, if you've had a disrupted night's sleep or you're not sleeping well, you are going to feel more hungry the following day. Not only will you feel more hungry, but when you're eating, it's going to take you longer to notice when you're feeling full. And the effect of both of those things is for you to eat more than you would normally, and often to eat more than your body is then using in that period of time as well. Net effect of that is you gain weight. How is this relevant to the current time? So, social distancing and the effects of what's going on for COVID-19. Well, our routines are changing. We are at home much more. I'm saying to my children, this is not the Easter holidays yet. This is not holiday time. We are going to stick to our routines, including your bedtimes, including your waking up times. That has met resistance, but I feel really, really strongly about this because of the major effect that sleep has for us as humans. And so, if you're actually allowing your bedtime to drift a little bit later, then are you actually shortening the amount of sleep that you're getting? And I'm talking about good quality sleep here as well, not drifting in and out of sleep. Because on that point as well, if you're watching the 10 o'clock news, getting the latest updates, and then going to bed feeling really quite anxious and concerned, is that actually allowing you to drift off into a restful sleep that allows you to sleep through to the following morning? Answer is probably no. So think about the activities that you partake in, particularly in that hour before bedtime. And maybe watching the news at that time of the night isn't a good idea for you. You know, this is something for me that I took a personal decision to stop just over 6 years ago when my husband was deployed in Afghanistan, and the news was really quite scary. There was a lot of horrible stuff going on, and so I just stopped watching the news. I choose to read it. It's available online as well as newspapers, and I choose to take in the news in a way that allows me to manage my response to it better. And that is what this is about in terms of those feelings of stress. Not so much what's going on, it's managing your response to those things, both in terms of our behaviour around sleep, but also on that previous point around emotional eating as well. So doing your best to stick to your regular bedtime routine, your regular wake up time, and managing your activities before you go to bed so that you are more likely to have a restful night of good quality sleep will help the repair of cells within your body, and it will also help you to manage your hunger levels and noticing when you are full more proactively to help to manage your weight in the long term. So the final point that I've got to you, and some of us will feel this more than others, particularly when gyms were closed and we no longer had access to those areas where we could go and work out, that sense of community, enjoyment of exercise. But the key thing to remember here is you don't have to be in a gym to exercise. There are all kinds of exercise that you can do at home, either with or without equipment. And if you're thinking, well, I need to do something with equipment, tins of food, bottles of water, look at what you already have available in your house that you can use and be creative. At the time I'm recording this, it's a glorious day. The sun is out. Can you get out in your garden and be more active there? So exercise is activity in whatever form you want to take it. Just being active, moving more, getting that heart rate up a little bit out of breath, moving your body in a way that feels good for you. Now, often we don't feel like starting it. I often say I love how exercise makes me feel. I don't always feel like exercising. So the deal I have with myself is I set specific times that I'm going to do my exercise in. And if I don't feel like it at that time, I say, let's do 10 minutes and see how it feels then. So I give myself permission that if it's not feeling good after 10 minutes, I can stop. I can't recall a time when I've stopped, because when I start moving, it feels good, I feel better, and I always finish that session, whether it's 20 minutes, 30, 40 or 60 minutes, whatever I'm doing on that particular day, I always feel better at the end of that. And we know that, but it's still hard to get over that hurdle of starting to move. So do what works for you. Setting times in your diary, putting an alarm in your phone, having your workout clothes out ready. Get rid of the barriers that you can use as excuses for not doing exercise or whatever activity you enjoy. And be inventive, be creative. There is lots of support available online. If you're really stuck and you would like some support, then please message me and I will do my very best to help you as well. So yes, at the time of recording, when we have severe restrictions of movement for social distancing as a result of COVID-19, there is a lot to be worried about. And your nutrition, your weight management may not be at the top of your agenda. But taking these simple steps to really focus on your health, doing your best to take care of how you feel within your body is going to help you to manage all of that. And remember, focus on what you can do. However small and insignificant that feels, focusing on what you can do and doing those things one at a time will make a major difference to your overall mood. So take care of yourself, and remember, if you have any questions, please do send them in and I will do my very best to answer them.